Ukrainian McDonald's. About to go to Chernobyl, get a healthy dose of radiation. But first, we're having omelets and chicken McMuffins and all kinds of stuff.
You know what? I think that McDonald's is
allowed, I suppose that we will be allowed here to enter the Chernobyl exclusion zone here. And then we will go into the abandoned village Zalisa and Kopachy. Then, of course, we will see the Chernobyl.
Save energy. At 1:23 a.m., the security systems are deactivated and the experiment begins. A series of detonations go off in the core of the reactor.
Some satisfying air of Chernobyl here, which expires in half the life of plutonium, 24,000 years. Then we got some manuals, some cookies, bunch of commemorative Chernobyl magnets. And now we're about to go into the exclusion zone. We are currently right here.
Device, the one that you wear on your neck, it's different. So this accumulating device is almost useless. It just measures, accumulates gamma radiation, and it's for our administration to show how much you're exposed during the day. Honestly, it's just a good excuse to charge us more money for it, but anyway, they pay for safety. So the
Level of radiation here was more than 1,000 times higher than the sanitary level, so it was really very bad for them. But nobody knew about this, so people just lived their lives. But also, you see the like holes here in the walls. Yes, it was made by liquidators on purpose because there used to be kind of like ovens or furnaces or something like this. They did it on purpose because when they evacuated people, they told them that it's just for a couple of days, and it was the prevention like measurement for them not to find. And it resulted in a big rush of here because people just were queuing here waiting for the what is this? And they were quite disappointed because the flavor of this was more or less the same. Yes, so yeah.
So there's a lot of radiation in the soil right here, so all of our alarms are going off, and hopefully we will live. All right, here outside the elementary school, there's a drain pipe that deposited radiation into the soil right here. So what is already really high here, 1.7, becomes very high when you get right above the ground here. 2.4. Hold on. 5. Yeah. So these are hot spots. Once again, this is cool because it's per hour. But if I were to just lay my head right there for an hour, we might have a problem. And this is just creepy. The kindergarten classroom. Kindergarten at Chernobyl. Try not to step too quickly because John's foot just went through the floor in this other building. Wow, eerie. This is just scary, man. There's like dismembered dolls hanging out on these beds. All right, here we are at the sequel to Silent Hill. This is more bunk beds in the kindergarten of Chernobyl and dismembered dolls. But the good news is my radiation alarm just went off, so at least this is a good place to sleep still.
Different nuclear power plants, Rovinsk and Khmelnytskaya AES, comes here, then it's being redistributed towards local facilities, Chernobyl power plant, Pripyat, Chernobyl town as well. So that's the only way. 7. So you have 2 turbines adjusted for each reactor. Each turbine would generate 500 megawatt. So you can imagine like 8 huge turbines inside this white building. So this is first reactor, the black one. Next, that looks exactly the same. This is reactor number 3, the nearest one to the fourth. It is already a second generation. That's why it looks slightly different. Design was a little bit different, but the same type of reactors. And this, what you can see, before the place where the robots worked, Daria told you about these remote machines. So they were sent to try and clean up roof of third unit. The rusty roof was not there before the accident. This was an attempt to cover it and to decrease levels of ionizing radiation. If you're wondering how fourth reactor looked like before the accident, the one that exploded, it is the same, also twins. So first generation, second, and then reactors 5 and 6, it would have been third one. And obviously the last part is the new safe confinement, which covers only reactor number 4. It's the new dome, which was completed in 2016, so 3 years ago. It was finished and then moved to cover remains of the reactor and the old sarcophagus that was built here in 1986. It is not visible, but it is still there. Later, when we'll get to the new safe confinement, I will show you a picture of it, so you know.
All right, we just saw the actual plant and reactors. Now we're at the red forest, which is the trees we see are actually new trees that they planted because the original red forest was so contaminated they had to cut it down and bury it in the soil, and they planted new trees. We're not allowed to cross the road right here. If we try, then they'll yell at you because for good reason, because it's super contaminated. You see these little signs. They mean business. And this is the welcoming sign.
We are in Pripyat now. Pripyat was the role model town of the Soviet Union, very specific and wealthy and happy and so on. It was built on, from scratch on purpose for people who worked here on the nuclear power plant, and it was like kind of part of Soviet propaganda, of course, because our authorities gathered.
No big deal.
Destroying from here to here. If you want to peek through the windows, do it from this first, please, because further piles fall down like much more frequently. If you don't want, just.
We're not allowed to go near this school because part of it is already collapsing.
Let's watch the news tonight.
The biggest ingredient, and in the short documentary you have watched today, yes, when we entered Pripyat,
See the people suffering a third world mentality. Elect another warlord.
42. Shit. That's so far in.
Just a voice without a face or a mouth without a head. Too many fanatics looking for a Christ to be the one who makes a sacrifice. Broke their own blood must be too high a cost. So it's our soldiers' lives are
Around the power plant. Once again, a few things you missed before. On your left, this silver building is the administration. It looks pretty modern because it was renovated, but the building itself is old. You can also see on the wall this shiny pink abstract decoration. So this is a peaceful dove, in case it's not obvious. Peaceful dove holding a peaceful atom in its claw, like this, and there's a wing behind. So this was supposed to symbolize a peaceful nuclear power in the Soviet Union, of course. Well, because people still did not believe entirely that it is safe, because again, a lot of them remembered how nuclear power was used during the war and what happened with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So the reactor, after receiving a call, and basically the official version was that there was only a fire in the turbine hall. No one knew anything about the actual explosion, and they never had any protective gear, so the firemen were the first victims of the accident, because each of them received not even lethal dose of radiation, but 5, 6.
You keep on talking, but you're never making sense. Trying to convince me of your high intelligence, but I heard that fake without words is dead. Just a voice without a face or a mouth without a head. The words you spit scratch the itch of my ears. When it seems to be enough to starve off everybody's fears, but 2 weeks later, change what you said. Words without a voice from a mouth without a
Alright. We had lunch and a little nap, and now we're seeing Chernobyl 2, which was a secret side of Chernobyl. And as you can see, it's getting dark, and we are almost done with our long day of touring the apocalypse.
Baltic missiles. Yeah, it's just to walk a little bit over that way because it's not really tall. This part is about 150 meters tall and almost 750 meters long. It's almost 1 kilometer. And this is supposed to be a secret, just in case. People who live in
Secret. This is the Russian woodpecker. There's no real way I can explain how amazing this is, but you can look it up. It is a giant radar that's secret that the Soviets had outside Chernobyl. It was built to intercept signals from the US sending ballistic missiles at them, and it never actually got put to use because it was caught basically because of its loud signal. That's why it's called the woodpecker. But ironically, it is a useless but absolutely amazing, beautiful structure.
The trajectory looks roughly like that, approximately. Takes about 40 to 45 minutes for a nuke to reach territory of the USSR. So this is how it goes, following the curvature of the Earth. So the ballistic missile does it. The signal, radio signal sent by the radar, it can't do the same. Soviet Union did not have any friends, surprisingly, no allies. So America could place radars around Soviet Union and track them, so they could detect ionosphere occasionally can reflect signal short waves like a big mirror, but it can happen just several times a day.
What'd you think of Chernobyl?
It was awesome. I loved it. What did you
Steve,
think of it?
what'd you think of Chernobyl?
It was cool. Very informative.
Right, on what to do in the event of a nuclear disaster. We are back on our van after a 10-hour excursion in Ukraine and Belarus, technically, because Chernobyl is kind of on both.
I don't think we actually went anywhere into the Belarusian side.
And they're turning off the lights now, but all we got to do is go back through a checkpoint to make sure our radiation isn't lethal. Hopefully it's not, and then we get to take a nice nap on our 2-hour drive back. But this day was very amazing.